Pro Slurry Splitter is packaged in 35-pound pails. Pro Slurry Splitter is a polymer, mineral-based flocculant, or separator, with a pH adjuster. It lowers the pH of high pH concrete slurries. It will separate usable water from the concrete slurry. It encapsulates suspended cement particles to accelerate dewatering. It attracts emulsified oils, phosphates, and negatively charged particles, separating from the wastewater in one application. The separated water can be put back into the auto scrubber for reuse. So what are the recommended uses? On all grinding, sawing, core drilling projects where wet concrete slurry is generated. To reduce the high pH levels of concrete slurry for legal disposal. To separate water from concrete slurry. To reuse on the job site. To reduce the weight of concrete slurry by separating the water prior to disposal. And also to reduce the dewatering process time. The first thing to do is to produce your slurry primer. Add 4 ounces of Pro Slurry Splitter to 32 ounces of water and mix well. Allow this to sit for a few minutes to allow the slurry splitter to absorb as much water as possible. This produces a very, very efficient primer. Once it's produced, pour the primer onto the floor. Immediately vacuum it from the floor with the auto scrubber or slurry vac. This will coat the lines and also the storage tank, allowing for easier cleaning later on. Repeat this process after every time it is emptied. Caution: the primer mixture can be very slippery once poured onto a floor, so just be careful. If you're using a slurry vac, pour the primer onto the floor and remove it with the vac itself. Continue vacuuming as normal until the recovery tank is filled. The turbulence in the vacuum process will mix the primer with the concrete slurry to start the separation process. Allow several minutes for the flock solids to grow and enhance the separation and dewatering process. Once that happens, remove the separated water from the top of the tank. The sludge will not go back into suspension and the solids will settle because they are heavier than the water itself. Once all the water is removed, sprinkle a small amount of Pro Slurry sponge onto the wet areas and mix well. This will absorb the additional water, preventing any type of leaching. Once that's all completed, remove the gelled cake from the recovery tank. If you're using an auto scrubber, induce the Pro Slurry Splitter into the recovery tank. The amount to add depends on the size of the recovery tank itself. Once that's done, pour the primer onto the floor and auto scrub, removing it. The turbulence of this process will mix the slurry splitter with the concrete slurry to start the separation process. Once the tank is filled, use the Pro slurry spout connected to a pressure washer to transfer the slurry into the slurry vault lined with a slurry sifter bag. The slurry spout is also used to clean out residual sludge and transfer it into the slurry vault. The water will start filtering through the sifter bag, and this water can be reused in your auto scrubber. This video is showing the flocculation process. Once the primer is made, it's induced into the slurry. The solids then separate from the usable water and settle to the bottom, leaving clean, usable water to put back into your auto scrubber. The material comes in a granular form. The color is gray. The bulk density is 70 pounds per cubic foot. The moisture content is between 7 and 8%. Particle size, 30 to 200 mesh, and it comes in a 35-pound pail. If you do not use a primer, the flocculation process will be sacrificed. As you can see in the image on the right, you have solids at the top, clear water in the middle, and solids at the bottom. At this point, the filtration process will be minimized and not as efficient as if you would use the primer. All materials have limitations. Not all solids may be compliant with your landfill disposal requirements. The concrete substrate being processed might contain hazardous chemicals that are not typically found in concrete. Some landfills might require additional testing. And for best results, combining a slurry splitter with water, producing the primer, should be used prior to any type of extracting of slurry from the surface with your auto scrubber or slurry vac. The accessories you'll need will include a slurry vault, which contains the concrete slurry and separated water during the dewatering process, a slurry sifter bag, which lines the slurry vault to perform the separation process. A slurry spout, when connected to a pressure washer, is used to transfer slurry from the storage tank in the auto scrubber into the slurry vault. And slurry sponge, which solidifies any surface water that might be remaining on the cake itself once the dewatering process is completed. All DymaPro chemicals and equipment have a QR code on the label or the side of the machine itself. By scanning this code, it will bring you to the website where all product information, videos, brochures, technical data sheets, and manuals are located. Thank you for your time today, and if you have any other questions, please contact your DymaPro Systems representative.